Good afternoon everybody, and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall on this gloomy Friday afternoon. So hopefully I'll cheer you up a little bit and just provide you with another video. And today I'm going to be dedicating this video to Jerry over at Kampala Road, and the reasons for that will become very very in the very near future. And let's get on with the video. So today, I've got a new Loco. Now I know I said that I wasn't going to buy anything because I'm going to concentrate on the flat, but I will be doing that very shortly. It's just that I've been going through a bit of a rough patch at the minute, and I decided that I think I've been really good, and I decided to treat myself to a Loco that I've seen and I've been eyeing up for some time. So let me show you what it is. So here is my new locomotive, and this is a Class 56 in the rail freight coal livery, and it is 56128, and it's called West Burton Power Station. And for those of you that are interested, the R number for this is 2647X, and it's DCC fitted. So, those of you who have watched Jerry's recent video will know that he bought a Class 56 recently. And those of you who watched that video will also know that he had issues with said 56. And I just wanted to sympathise with Jerry because I've had issues with mine. And But all's well that ends well. So it's one of those that I'll go through it or I'll explain it to you. Basically, it all goes back to when this locomotive was released. So actually, let me just show you this locomotive. So stay there. So here is my Class 56. And it's 56128 West Burton Power Station. Now this particular locomotive, like I said, was sitting in my local model shop in Alton for some time, and I've been eyeing it up for a long time. And eventually I managed to pick it up yesterday. He still had it, and I picked it up yesterday at a very reasonable price by today's standards. And this particular locomotive cost me £110, and it was DCC fitted already. So there was no extra expense needed to put a decoder in her. So I asked Paul if he could whiz round with it round his little test track to make sure all was well, particularly with the lights, because Class 56s are notoriously bad with the connections for the lights. And any of you who've been with me for some time will know that I've actually done a video on trying to sort the lights out on a Class 56 because I did have issues with one of my others. I actually have 4 in total. So he whisked it round, the lights were working in both directions, but there was a slight noise from when it was running. Now, this particular 56 also had the fans. This is when Hornby were going through this phase of putting open doors and fans on the roof that were working. So we felt that it could be, because it wasn't doing it in both directions, it could be a fan problem and might need to be disconnected, and it might just need running in. So on that basis, I took the locomotive, and he did say to me, if you have any further issues with it, bring it straight back and he would sort them out for me. Which no doubt he would have done. So I brought it home, stuck her on the test track, and I didn't program her at first. I just left it on address free because I wanted to see whether or not I could get it to run properly. Run quietly actually, because it ran really well in both directions. But it was just this noise. So it ran in both directions for an hour, and it basically seemed to have cured it. And then I went off to do something else, and I came back, and when I started her up again, the noise was absolutely horrendous. And I didn't know what it was. And so I decided that with today being Friday, and because of my work commitments, I was going to finish too late to take it back to the model shop. I thought I would actually have a go at taking the body off, as I have done before on my other 56s. It turns out that it wasn't to do with the fan. I disconnected the fan by cutting away the rubber drive belt, and that drove the fans to disconnect them. And it put it back on the track, and it still was sounding pretty horrific. Now, Jerry also had mentioned that his had seized, the worm's gears had seized, and he couldn't use it because it wouldn't run at all, and that's what blew up the decoder. Now, on mine, it was similar but not the same. It ran in both directions, so it wasn't seized. But the problem was it was again the lubrication. It was making a noise because the lubrication was drying out, and it needed lubricating. So, as well as the axle points that were lubricated, the worm gears were lubricated, and also all the joints were lubricated by the motors. And I then ran her for a further hour each way, and now she's as good as gold. However, these issues all go back to when she was released. And once again, this particular model is actually a brand new model. It's never been run, and it's a brand new model. But the thing being, it was released in the year 2007, 2008. And we are now in 2019. So that obviously accounts for why it's not running very well, because obviously it's been sitting there and it hasn't been run, and all these years it's just sat there and not been run. So it's all kind of and I've had this with another Loco where it has seized as well, but this particular one hadn't seized and it was running. It was just running really, really noisily. But now we've got to the bottom of this. But then we come back to the lighting issue, and the two big drawbacks of the 56, which I find, are the reliability of the lights and in their connections, and also to do with the body itself. And basically, the connections, I will show it to you. I think if I can remember to put the link in, I'll put the link in to the video that I did of the lighting of the 56. And so if any of you do have issues, you can see for yourself what it's like underneath. And basically they're spring loaded, and then these metal pins kind of make contact onto a pad, but it's just so unreliable that you have to position exactly correct, because otherwise the lights just don't work. So when I put the body back the first time, the lights worked on one end but not the other. And the thing is with this body is it has screws as well as clips. So once you take the screws out, the body lifts up quite easily, but the problem is, again, if you over tighten the screws, you'll cross thread the thread, and you can end up damaging the thread, and then the body won't lock, as it were. It won't tighten because you've damaged the thread. And this all goes back to when it was made in 2007, 2008. This is when it was released, so this is an earlier 56. Now my later 56, which is the large logo one, has had some changes made by Hornby, which address some of those issues. So now the lighting has got basically, it's basically hardwired into a plug, and then you can just release the plug when you want to take the body off. So therefore you don't have to rely on the contacts. But obviously this being an early 56, even though it's new, it's an early version one, you're still reliant on the old technology, as it were, from back in 2007, 2008. Another issue with it being an early version is the fact that the decoder in it, it was DC, this is DCC fitted, brand new, so it's got an early decoder. Now what that means is when I try to program this to the address that I would normally program my locos, and for me I use 4 digits, and if I just show you my 67 here, because it's nice and big, for example on this particular 67 here it says 67025. Now normally I would have given it an address of 6725 and omit the middle number, and that's what I would have done. Back to my 56, however, that was 56128, so I was trying to program it as 5628, but I couldn't program it. Every time I tried to program the decoder, it would only work on address 3. The Hornby Elite I tried, and again it only worked on address 3. It wouldn't program 4 digits. Now early decoders, and I think it was John from Canal Sidings when he was doing one of his technical videos, had explained that on some decoders, and if you use like something like Decoder Pro or something like that, you can alter it, that you have to set the decoder to accept 4 digits, otherwise it won't accept 4 digits. And with that, bearing that in mind in the back of my head, I decided to program this locomotive to just 2 digits, being 56, and sure enough it worked. So it's now, so there isn't actually anything wrong with the decoder, it's just an early decoder which you have to manually adjust if you want to use 4 digits. So that might be useful to somebody out there. And but now she's now running all right now. It's something that maybe you could say it's a brand new locomotive. I shouldn't have to do anything with it. You should just take it back. But the thing is, it's like Joey says, these 56s are absolutely gorgeous locomotives. They're absolutely superb. And like I said, I own 4 of them, so I now know what to look for in these things. And the detail on them is absolutely stunning. And they are such beautiful locomotives. Like I said, I've got this one in the coal sector livery. I've got a rail freight grey one. I've got a BR blue one. And I've got a large logo blue one. But she is just so beautiful. And if I just sort of, I'm going to see if I can take you a little bit more closer up. The detail on her is just superb. I'll try and move it really slowly. It really is a beautiful locomotive, I have to say. And that's why I have 4 of them in my fleet. And it doesn't necessarily put me off. When he showed me it and it was whirring a little bit, it didn't put me off as such, because I kind of knew that it was going to be, that is something that I could probably deal with myself. But like I say, Jerry, I can totally sympathise with you. I watched your video, and even when before I got this one, I saw your video and I was like, yeah, I can totally understand where you're coming from, because I had these issues with some of my other 56s. But once they're going, they're absolutely beautiful. And I love the lighting arrangement as well on them as well. I just switched the lights on. So that's with the tail lights. And this was the end that wasn't working when I put the body on. So the thing is, if you do have one of these and you do remove the body, you have to be so careful when you screw the body back on not to over tighten it, because if you do, you could damage the threads and then you could end up with all sorts of problems. So I'm just going to let her run a little bit. She's as good as gold now. I'm still test running her. I love it. So that's it from me and for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's just a bit of an informative video. If you do happen to want to buy one of these 56s, don't be put off, because they are fantastic Locos. They're absolutely beautiful. Apart from the kind of issues that I've had, they are known issues, but like I said, as long as you're careful and if you are a competent modeler, then you're not gonna go too far wrong with them. Like I said, you might get lucky. It's just that this particular 56 has been knocking about for a little while and it hasn't been used. So it does pay to use your locomotives to stop them from seizing up. But like I said, it's so beautiful and I'm so happy to have it, and it's like the 4th one in my fleet. And this is her. And it's 56128 West Burton Power Station. And if you are interested in getting one, I do believe Paul has another one in his model shop in the coal sector, and then you may have some others too. So it is well worth checking out. Like I said, especially at today's prices, £110 for a brand new locomotive DCC fitted is a great buy and a welcome addition to my fleet. I do want to get some HEA wagons for them, which is one of the coal wagon, the rail freight ones, which I'd like to buy a rake for her. So that's something that I've always wanted to have. So that's something that I will do. I've got some press flows as well, which will run with some of my other 56s. So yeah, I've got that as well. I know some of the, just changing the subject slightly, I know a few of you had asked me about my HST, my failed HST, how I went about doing that, and there will be a video on that shortly, probably next week or the week after. There is a reason behind that, because I'm actually waiting on another HST to turn up here. And I'll be using that to demonstrate what I actually did to my failed one. So that's why I wanted just to so I'm going to just hold off on that video for now. Also, I've got another video to do at some point to do with the platform, the Hornby series platform that I was doing, the station building series. So I'll be doing that soon as well as trying to sort out the rest of the flat at some point as well. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and until the next time, it's goodbye from Mildenhall. Bye bye.